Hey everyone, welcome back to the Absolute Cinema Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Eli.
I'm Jake.
And today we're talking about the MCU post-Endgame. What went wrong? What are some of the issues? What are some of the problems? And we typically don't like to talk negative, but
Not really.
we're going to talk about maybe what we think is the reason why there's superhero fatigue, or just maybe not as much interest in the MCU these days as there was when Endgame was coming out and being the highest-grossing movie of all time.
I think what you mean is before Endgame. Yeah, basically, yeah. So basically, I think the reason, well, not right off the bat, let's just say I'm gonna try and ignore superhero fatigue because I don't think that's really a huge issue.
I don't even think it exists. I don't.
Exactly. I think it's just here. Okay, right off the bat, I'm just gonna say the writing fell off. I'm just gonna say it right off the bat. First thing.
That's what you're gonna say?
Right. Let me explain, because it's like clearly you can tell that whenever, like, I think this started with WandaVision, like way back when the first 8 episodes they were cooking, and then it's like they get to the last episode and it just completely fell off, and the whole ending was just completely unsatisfying.
Yeah.
And so that's really where the cracks started to show. And then Falcon Winter Soldier, I need to watch that again because I've seen clips. This is going to sound really embarrassing, but I've seen clips of it on Instagram, and I actually have forgotten how good some of the writing is and some of the dialogue scenes. So I am going to try and rewatch it again at some point.
You mean when Falcon's lecturing the police or the senators?
No, I'm talking about when the therapist scene where they're sitting together.
Oh,
I mean, like that, but I'm not talking about the part where he's lecturing the people. But yeah, besides the point, I do want to try and rewatch it. But yeah, that's also where it started showing that the writing issue started showing its ugly head too. Is that it's just like, so there's a few projects, but again, those two are specific cases of they were affected by COVID. Because you have to factor that in too, because like some of these things that came out in 2021 were affected by COVID. The WandaVision was meant to have 10 episodes. But because of COVID constraints and very limited schedules, they had to like just kind of condense it all down to one finale in episode 9. And you can kind of feel that a little bit. And they said there's a bunch of stories they had to cut out, had to put stuff they had to cut short, and like you can feel this in the last episode. Winter Soldier, it's been well documented. They had a pandemic plot line originally, but then of course COVID-19 happened, so they had to cut that out.
Yeah, so then I'd say the bigger issue with both of those projects, and for a lot of things in the phase or whatever, was COVID. That was a huge issue. COVID. That's the bigger, I'd say, because those, I mean, yeah, the writing was bad, but it was affected by COVID, So like, that's kind of, I mean, they didn't really have a say.
Well, I'm choosing not to leave COVID out of this discussion because that's a real world issue, and there was no way around that. So I'm just going to choose to leave that.
But I mean, that is something that
affected it. Yeah, that's just not really one of my main. That's just not really what I think is the main issue. Because again, there was no getting around that. But again, as it kept going, I think Loki season 1 had some good writing, but it's like I'm not gonna try and go into like I'm not gonna list everything, but like basically as you go along, you can start seeing the cracks are showing. Some of them have really good writing, some of them have really messy writing. And other ones don't have good writing at all, but they have really good nostalgia bait, aka No Way Home, aka Deadpool and Wolverine, which is not a knock against either of those movies. I'm just saying that, again, you can tell the writing wasn't like on point as it was in some of the earlier movies. And so I think that's one area where they really fell off. They started getting a lot less sharper, and it felt like some of them were like cutting corners and like just making a bunch of questionable story choices, especially in certain projects. So
then why'd they get lazier then?
It's just, I guess it's
Were
just...
Were they writing off the success of Endgame?
I think it's just that... Well, here's the thing. Well, that's what I'm going with. I know some people might be wondering where I'm going with this, but what I'm saying is I think some people they were hiring were really questionable. Like, they were hiring a bunch of people from, like, Rick and Morty and a bunch of, like, lower-level, like, sitcom stuff. It's like Jeff, the person who wrote Quantumania, he primarily wrote Rick and Morty.
Well, Rick and Morty's really good though.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying that, but I was just saying that like I don't know what he did, but he did not cook with Quantumania because that was a huge disappointment. And like now, like we'll probably never see Kang again because of that movie, even beyond the Jonathan Majors thing. But yeah. So then, but the other thing is, what I'm getting at is, I think the reason really why the writing fell off is this is one of the big issues that happened post Endgame is quantity over quality. I'm sure people know this, but this is a big thing that definitely hurt them, and it's been documented now too. That because Disney really wanted stuff for their streaming service, they just wanted like the biggest catalog ever. They started forcing Marvel to like put out as much Disney Plus shows as possible for their streaming service.
Which leads to something that just happened that was stupid recently, where Bob Iger came out and said they haven't made a good project since 2021.
Which that's debatable.
And like he came out and was saying now Marvel's going to focus on quality over quantity, and I'm like, you were the one who forced them to make a bunch of shows for Disney Plus. Like, don't try to be the good guy here and be like, yeah, Marvel's falling up. Like, whose fault is it? It's your fault. Like,
it's also funny that he came out and said that after they threw shade at them for being like, they forced us to make all these Disney Plus shows. It's like, it's been documented that Kevin Feige, the head honcho of Marvel, for those who may not know, it's been documented he never wanted to make Disney Plus shows, but he only did it to keep his relationship with Disney, which, I mean, I don't blame him, but, like, it's like, if he's, like, because he's in charge of all this stuff, he's been, like, spread around like crazy, and they've said, again, they've mentioned that by the time he would give their Kevin Feige would give people their feedback, it was too late to implement it, so all the stuff that we got that was half-baked writing, it's just, it was too late for him to, like, say anything. They couldn't fix it in time.
Yeah, which is, I mean, because the Infinity Saga felt like, you know, Kevin Feige was kind of in control of everything, and he had a say, and he was very involved. And now with this, it feels unfocused because Kevin Feige wasn't involved.
He was very, very, like
there's so many
involved.
projects. He can't possibly be, you know, overseeing every single one of them.
And I think, like, some of the directors have more freedom, which I know that's a big criticism of the MCU, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, maybe some directors you don't give that much freedom to. Like, for example, Taika Waititi with Thor: Love and Thunder. Maybe, like, some people like him, you want to rein him in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it completely, not only did he make, like, a parody of the movie itself, but he also kind of killed the Thor character. Because, like, notice how we have not seen him since Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
I know it didn't, I saw it recently, it didn't flop, but it was, like, still made money for them, but it was obviously critically panned. But,
well, I mean, and also I do have to preface that this is not us, like we're too, like, I'm 18, you're 19. About to be 20, but
yeah,
we're not saying like we know better than the studio heads
of
at
course
Marvel.
Not. No,
like,
of course
I don't
not.
know how to run a multi-billion-dollar company.
I don't know how to write a script.
But but I mean, this is just us giving our, like,
it's just like a bystander's
totally,
perspective.
Yeah, it's really like civilian, like, just trying to dissect what we think is the deal with Marvel.
But my main point, like, was really what I'm trying to hammer is that I think that because they focus so much on quantity, their quality is sacrificed.
Oh, 100%.
And so, and, like, again, another big example of this, again, I don't want to, like, dive into everything specifically, but Moon Knight, because I rewatched that recently, but I have not rewatched that since it came out, and it's just I never really bothered to, but now recently I was like, I just want to watch this. The first 5 episodes, they cook. And it's like, they're going really good.
Yeah.
But then it's like, we even discussed this. It's almost like that feeling of when you're taking a test that has a time limit, and you really want to go slow and take your time, but then you realize, oh shoot, there's only 5 minutes left, so you have to scramble and, like, get it done before you, like, can't finish anymore. Yeah. That's what Moon Knight feels like. The 5 episodes that are cooking, by episode 6, it's like they just realized they only had 1 episode left, and then they have to just scramble to get to the finale, which is only 45 minutes, a 45-minute episode. They have to cram everything. So it's like the whole stuff, like, I forgot the villain's name, but he was actually a really interesting
Ethan Hunt character?
Yeah, not Ethan Hunt. That's not Ethan Hunt. I forgot.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke. That's his name. Thank you.
The Ethan Hawke character.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. Okay.
I don't remember his character's name, but he was actually a really interesting villain.
Uh-huh.
But then by the time you get to episode 6, when he releases the evil god that I also forgot the name of, he just becomes a generic henchman, and then it's like it just goes into typical third act superhero stuff, which is with the with Khonshu battling the other evil god, like, in the background. It looks like a Power Rangers fight.
Yeah,
I think that evil god should have been released in episode 4, so then it would have been she would have been
or they
around
should have
earlier.
had 2 more episodes. Yeah.
I just say, like, make it 8 episodes, or even, like, 10. I don't know why they refuse to do that.
Yeah, they're doing these 6-episode shows, which are, like, too short to be, you know, a TV show and too long to be a movie. Towards, like, this weird middle thing. It's like 6 episodes, so it's kind of like 3-4-ish hours, which is too short to be a TV show, too long to be a movie, or, like, so it's just kind of. It's not earning its, like, TV show status.
So it's like, why not just trim the fat out and make this into a movie? Yeah. Falcon vs. Soldier could have been a movie. I think that Falcon vs. Soldier they should have combined Falcon vs. Soldier and Brave New World and made that Captain America 4. I feel like they should.
Because they're doing the same thing.
It's literally,
and the problem with the Disney Plus show mandate was that not everybody wanted to get Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
that's another issue, is that Disney Plus shows started making all this. Kevin Feige even admitted this recently. They've admitted that it made everything feel like homework. Like, in order to understand this movie, you have to watch this however many episodes show. That's like an hour each episode,
which is not a bad thing.
No, but it's just not everyone can commit to that, and so people just like either didn't care or just didn't have time to get around to it. So then when they jumped into, let's say, they jump into Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, but didn't watch WandaVision, they're thrown off because they're just like, why is Wanda a villain now? It's like, you have to watch this 9-episode show to show why Wanda fell. Or say the Marvel, say you're coming into that, it's like, who is Ms. Marvel and who is Monica Rambeau?
Yeah.
Well, you have to watch WandaVision to know who Monica Rambeau is, and then you have to watch the 6-episode Ms. Marvel show to understand who Ms. Marvel is, which that one I think is the weirdest one of all those Disney Plus shows. It's like, it's not. I remember it. It wasn't bad. It's just like it was so weird, strange. Like just one of those just more like probably out of all the Disney Plus shows they made, that was easily the weirdest one because it's just like
because first half is like
what
coming
was the
of
point?
Age.
Yeah,
it was first half was like coming of age, like quirky, relatable Miss Marvel superhero, and then the second half it like dives into our ancestry and it like you go back
globetrotting and all this weird stuff.
Like I fell asleep.
She goes on the back burner and like her family becomes the center.
I fell asleep.
And in the finale, it's like now it's back to like tween drama.
And is she dating her cousin? Is that like I've never understood?
I don't remember that.
I thought it was like her family. Anyway,
yeah, not important.
The thing with the Disney Plus shows that I think is a problem is that like I don't think it's a problem to have people watch shows to understand parts of the story. Like people are watching a lot of things at home anyway, and if you're going to spend money to go to the theater, you definitely have money to pay for Disney Plus. So I don't think like that's a huge ask to ask people to watch Disney Plus shows to get things. But I do think the problem is they didn't decide whether or not you're going to have to watch shows to understand the movies or if you're going to like they're just going to fill you in the movie. Because with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like the whole arc of the show is Falcon deciding that he's going to take up the shield and that he is worthy of being Captain America. And then so they should have said like, okay, you have to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier to get caught up before Brave New World. But they didn't. They didn't. They're like, oh, no, you don't have to watch that. We'll catch you up, and we'll just do the same thing again in the movies for those who didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, so he's, again, figuring out how to take up the mantle of Captain America.
Again, I don't hate Sam Wilson as Captain America. I don't. I remember when we first saw Endgame, I was really excited.
Yeah, I was too. I was like,
for Sam Wilson being Captain America. I was so excited. And then I was really excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier because I thought the trailers made it look cool. And then it kind of killed it because it's like it's just the way the story was executed kind of killed it for me. Yeah. And then all the Brave New World, whatever went on behind the scenes with that movie, we'll never really know. But it's just I don't hate Brave New World either. I think that's actually I was entertained by it.
I definitely like it less than you do, but
yeah, I was still entertained. I was still entertained by the first two acts. It's just after the Indian Ocean fight is when it really falls off for me.
The whole movie was.
But it's just like the more it's just like. It just feels like it's just basically just getting on base. But at the same time, also I will say this, it felt like a step in the right direction. And this is another point that we'll touch on later. But it felt like the universe was coming together again, which hold that thought because we're going to come back to that. But again, like it's not a terrible movie, but I can understand like it's flawed. Then again, another thing is that basically our main point is that the writing kind of fell off. And this kind of goes into the next topic that I want to bring up is the universe felt like it didn't have a plan this time around. 1 through 3, I mean, obviously, it's been. I think they said this like phases 1 through 3, the Infinity Saga, which is from Iron Man to Endgame, and they said that obviously I don't think they had a full plan. I think that some of the stuff they were definitely just throwing stuff against the wall at some point, which that does work, and like it led to a very good story that like they figured out as they went along. But phase 4 through 5 so far, it really felt like there wasn't a consistent plan that they had thought out because it just felt so. Again, it felt scattershot, but there wasn't any connectivity between anything.
And it shouldn't have because with the Infinity Saga, I mean, with Iron Man, they didn't know if they would have a cinematic universe.
Exactly.
It was the first time it had been done. Then they were still going along and actually, kind of even with the first Avengers movie, forming, a goal to get to, which was Thanos. Yeah. They didn't know how they were going to get there, obviously, and a lot of things changed, but there was an excuse even for if it felt mismanaged because it was the first time it had been done. After Endgame, they should have hit the ground running with the Multiverse Saga because it's a tried and true thing. Endgame was the highest grossing movie ever. Exactly. So there should have been a clear plan from the beginning which there was. It was Kang.
Yeah.
But then there was...
It was just so subtle, though. It was just... But there was a lot of fluff in between that felt like it was worthless. Like, WandaVision was following up from Scarlet Witch. Falcon Winter Soldier made Sam Wilson become Captain America. Loki was the one where we got introduced to Kang.
Yeah.
And with He Who Remains. But then we didn't see him again until Quantumania. Like, Kang didn't show up anything in between then. And then there was obviously, like, What If was following up different branches. Shang-Chi introduced a new character who has never showed up again since that one movie in 2021. Eternals came out. That was whatever that was. Oh, we forgot Black Widow introduced Red Guardian and Yelena, which they've stuck around because we know.
Yeah.
Then the Hawkeye show, I defend the Hawkeye show. I actually think the Hawkeye show was fun. It's just that maybe you can just throw in that maybe it could have been a movie and maybe Kingpin could have been handled a little bit better. But it's just I actually enjoy that one.
No, I love Hawkeye. I think it was great.
No Way Home,
one of the best ones.
No Way Home was just an absolute treat for Spider-Man fans, but I can acknowledge that the first half has some story issues. But it was so good. But it was, again, also, like, again, it was multiverse, so it's like, okay, so there's a story. And then Moon Knight. Moon Knight was another another random one, because it's like, I guess it's just like, we have to fill out a specific Disney Plus requirement, so let's just give Moon Knight a show. Yeah. It's like, they're like, will we bring him back? I don't know. And so it's like, it's just not really, I guess you're just left to assume that this will tie in. And Doctor Strange 2 was multiverse, which we know that movie was reworked to death, so we'll never know. Again, that's another one we'll never really know the full story on what happened with that one.
Yeah, because Sam Raimi is such a distinct director.
Yeah.
And there's some sequences in that where you can see his vision and you can see that he was, in charge. And then it just felt like there was a lot of stuff that was changed, not by his ideas,
not by him.
This Marvel committee.
I felt like the Illuminati scene was just directed by Marvel executives. I just like to play around with the theory that Sam Raimi was not on set for the Illuminati scenes. I just think that an executive was directing it.
Which I think that's a big problem of this is studio interference.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But Doctor Strange 2, that's a big one. That's the other big one that we need to talk about. But like Doctor Strange 2, but again, like at Doctor Strange 2, it just became more scattershot stuff like Miss Marvel, Love and Thunder, She-Hulk, just all this stuff that never really felt connected. And then Quantumania came, and they started being like, this is what introduced us to Kang the Conqueror, the big villain. Yeah. And it's like, he gets beaten by Hank Pym in an army of ants. Yeah. And then Ant-Man beats him. So it's like, why do we need the Avengers if Ant-Man beat him? Yeah. He lost to Ant-Man.
Yeah, but the thing was there was an army of him, I guess. Maybe that was, the like implication.
Well, yeah, because you just reminded me. The post-credit scene shows there's a full dynasty of them. Yeah. So I guess that was the point, but it's like we needed someone who could have been like the face of the Kangs. The villain couldn't have been a billion Kangs. Yeah. Like, sure. I think we needed Kang the Conqueror to be like the face of them. At least that's what I was hoping for. But then obviously
like the most powerful.
They literally flushed him away. So it's like, what's the point?
And
it wasn't. He wasn't gonna kill him. He was gonna trap him in the quantum realm and escape. Yeah. Which that would have been a better ending. But I'm starting to theorize that maybe they knew that Kang wasn't going to be the villain they thought, so maybe that's why they changed it. That's just been my theory.
If that is the reason, then I totally understand.
The reason they dropped Kang, some people obviously know this, the Jonathan Majors controversy was a big problem, which that is true. But the other reason, people may not know this, is that they knew that Kang wasn't... Not everyone got into Kang like they thought they would, so that was the other reason they dropped him. So even if there was a controversy with Jonathan Majors happened or not, I feel like Kang would have been dropped anyway. So now
which is weird to me because, I mean, was Thanos that big of a deal back when they were doing...
I was about to say, that's a good point. Thanos was not really in the MCU that much. He showed up in the first Avengers post-credit scene. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in the Age of Ultron post-credit scene. And then he didn't pop up again until Infinity War. Yeah. So it's like so he's made like little cameos throughout, but you knew he was. But at the same time, the Infinity Stones were popping up all around. So
that's true.
That makes it different. And so Kang was. I guess they were gonna try and do the same thing with Kang, and so like they're seeing a bunch of his variants pop up around. But I guess they just didn't follow up on it enough. And I guess that's where you can make the argument that maybe Doctor Doom will be good because again, Thanos didn't show up very much in the Infinity Saga, so maybe they can pull off Doctor Doom.
I guess it just depends on how they tie it all together.
Yeah, you can again, writing is everything, so they
could just tie it all together and it would make sense.
Yeah. And then also they kind of wrap up. They kind of very subtly wrapped up the Kang storyline in Loki season 2, which again is another connectivity thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess I think they did that just to kind of wrap it up, just in case they don't go anywhere else with it. So personally, never loved Loki like everybody else did. Right. I think it was good. I think it was fantastic. I think it was great. It's just I never really got on board with it like everyone else did. Like personally, I think my favorite Disney Plus show is still X-Men '97, which is awesome. But I can acknowledge that Loki season 2 was phenomenal. I mean, sure, it took a little bit to get going, but I think that Loki.
I think the first half, I was really scared.
I think Loki was one of the better Disney Plus shows overall, including both. I'm including both seasons when I say this. And another one is Secret Invasion, was just a complete random one, that's such a good story in the comics. And the show did not do it justice.
That's a really sad one because it was like so bad. Like it was really bad.
And it doesn't have anything to do with anything though. That's my point. Is that like it just felt one of those like, Disney Plus shows they had to make, so they just threw it out there.
And in the comics, it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. In the comics, like the entire Marvel universe gets involved, and here it's just a handful of Shield agents, and Rhodey gets involved.
Yeah, and it's just like, and it's just a one-off thing. Like, it's over.
Yeah, it's done. Like we just don't see this again. And then the Marvels, again, that's another one that was micromanaged to death, which we're going to get to that. So that was another one that was like, who knows what happened with that one. And so, again, that one, the whole purpose of that one was that Monica gets trapped in an X-Men universe, which now, all of a sudden, that's super important.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool and Wolverine, that was another one that's just a holdover from the Fox universe because they wanted to let Ryan Reynolds do it, but that was just like again, we mentioned this, it was just a ton of fun.
Oh,
so
yeah, it was awesome.
I let Deadpool and Wolverine pass. Echo, I know I heard good reviews about Echo. Echo 97 I already mentioned was amazing. And then I heard some mixed stuff about Agatha all along. But
well, that one was the one that should have come out 3 years ago.
Yeah, that one should have come out earlier. It's just they waited too long. It's just like, oh, like the WandaVision hype had already died down.
Yeah, and it was just a weird one to do that didn't add anything to the overall story, you know? It was just
exactly
a random one-off thing that didn't serve the grander scheme. Which, I mean, since they were doing the idea of doing more Disney Plus shows and doing things that don't necessarily tie into the grander story and can just be like,
that's not
fun,
a bad idea.
That's not inherently bad.
The Infinity Saga did it. There was a bunch of stories that didn't really connect to anything.
Yeah, like that's not bad, but it's
they did too much. They did too much of it.
Because
there wasn't enough connectivity. There wasn't like a central plot line running throughout each one that would connect them all together like the Infinity Saga did. And it's like, but in Brave New World, which we talked about already, Born Again, I know I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on Daredevil Born Again, but I personally thought I enjoyed it week to week. I think it was a worthy sequel, but I can acknowledge that there was, again, it's one of those ones with questionable story choices, which, again, we'll get to that. And then I thought Thunderbolts was I thought Thunderbolts was a winner. And so overall, kind of, if we're gonna package this agreement all together, I would say that it's a very mixed series of phases overall, 4 and 5 together.
Uh-huh.
Like there's some good, some in the middle, and then there's some obvious bad ones. But like it's just like it's not all terrible, but it's just there's no it doesn't feel as well thought out like the MCU did. It just felt too much like they were throwing stuff against the wall. And also at some point it felt like damage control. Like as soon as Kang stopped working, they threw that out and it started just doing whatever.
Which I mostly attribute to studio interference and the outside,
outside world. Yeah, well, of course.
Or mostly and quantity over quantity. Which, those are the two biggest things.
Yeah.
I think.
And because there wasn't enough activity, we couldn't know who our new stars were. Like we haven't known who our new because obviously Iron Man and Captain America are very hard to fill the shoes of. So I feel like I don't think any of these characters could really except for maybe Spider-Man. I don't think any one of them could fill the shoes of them. It's the new lead face of the MCU. They didn't build any new stars. They cast Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. They cast a bunch of They cast a bunch of potential people. They had Shang-Chi, the Eternals. They had all these people that could have been the new stars. And then none of them really... And all of them only got, one shot. And then... I think we can rope this into... I think this one... I'm sorry I haven't mentioned this till now. We can rope this into our next subject. But a big character they were super hyping up was Mahershala Ali's Blade. I think this is a perfect segue into studio interference. And let's just talk about this. I really want to talk about this because it's in Comic-Con, after Endgame came out, Marvel was on their highest thing ever. They announced their Phase 4 slate, and then they ended it with Blade, which got and they said Mahershala Ali was going to do it. And everyone was super excited.
That's crazy.
They were talking about what's going to happen. Well, first off, there was a pandemic, so that really affected it.
Again, that really affected the MCU.
But it's just been one of these movies where it's like directors come in and out, writers come in and out, leave for various reasons. It's just been this roller coaster ride of a production nightmare that can never get going. There's been so many times where it's like, filming's about to start, and then director leaves, writer leaves, and it's like nothing moves on it. It's just crazy. Like became cursed. Like, funnily enough, the movie about the Daywalker, who's a vampire, Blade, got cursed. It could never be released. And so it never happened. And Marshall Ali even started moving on. Like, he literally missed out on so many roles because he was so committed to making this happen. And now it's like, they're like, oh, yeah, we're putting this on hold, which they're like, yeah, well, they're putting this on hold, which for movie terms, if they say on hold / indefinitely delayed, that means canceled. So basically, this movie's never happening.
So they're canceling it.
I mean, they haven't outright said it, but if you read between the lines of what they're saying when they say it's on hold, that's basically means it's not happening.
They probably should.
And Mahershala Ali's already moved on to other, like, he's in the new Jurassic World movie, so it's like he's already moving. Yeah. He's moving on to other things. So I really think that they're just kind of done with it. I think that's done. So we'll probably, and it's even funnier because we got Wesley Snipes' Blade back before Mahershala Ali could even start.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's and the joke is they put that joke in. They knew what they were doing with that joke. Like, I'm sure everyone knows the joke, but it's like they knew what they were doing with that.
Yeah. I mean, it is sad,
and it's. Yeah,
because it was going to be cool.
I know. I mean, Mahershala Ali was so excited about it, but it's just for whatever reason it could never get off the ground.
I don't get it though. Like, why? Like, what's the trouble there? What's so hard about that?
It's kind of like what happened with Fox's Gambit, with the Channing Tatum's Gambit movie. That's what I've been saying. It's the Channing Tatum Gambit movie of the MCU. In the case of it, it was talked about forever. It never happened.
Yeah, I mean that's just strange to me, and that's a studio interference thing, you know.
And yeah, but that's a perfect segue into like studio interference has been a big part. Like they know they don't know what they were doing. At least that's what it felt like. And so they kind of had to start like messing with their directors to kind of just change everything. Yeah. Like the big example is Doctor Strange 2. It's been documented that went through 33 rewrites of the script, and like multiple times. And it got to the point where Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Scarlet Witch, was like, she just said she stopped reading the scripts. She was like, these are just going to change. And she just stopped reading them, which I think is crazy.
That's crazy.
And it's like there were so many reported people who were going to be in that movie. Well, a lot of them ended up being fake. And those fake people ended up getting everyone's expectations sky high.
Well, yeah. I mean, mine were pretty high. Okay,
because that was back. Remember that was back when they were talking about Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Yes, and I don't even think my expectations were that. I don't think our expectations were that high. I think it was a reasonable level based on what the discussion was, and then the movie just didn't even leave. I just think the movie didn't even live up to a reasonable amount of expectation.
No, it really didn't.
Like, I think it'd be reasonable to expect a few more cameos than the Illuminati, right?
Yeah, I mean, they talk about like multiverse. It's called Multiverse of Madness. You think they do more with the multiverse?
Yeah, they visit like 2 universes in the Multiverse of Madness.
And then they go like whatever other.
Like they montage through a few, cool, but
it's
like
a 30-second one. It's like not. It's really just nothing.
Yeah, I guess that wasn't hyping it up.
Like, I guess it wasn't really Sam Raimi's intention to do that, but I guess Marvel was probably the one. I think. What happened was Sam Raimi probably wanted to explore the horror side, but Marvel was like, you need to put some multiverseness in there. Especially after No Way Home, then it's when the reshoots start happening. They're probably after No Way Home, were like, let's put in some more like multiverse cameos. That's where we got like John Krasinski, Mr. Fantastic, which is mean.
Which is the stupidest scene ever. My favorite scene is because he's like, you know, like he's the smartest man ever, and then he meets Wanda, and he tells they know she's a big threat, and he tells her exactly how to beat Black Bolt. He goes. This is Black Bolt. One whisper from his mouth will kill you. And then she takes his... Like, he tells her exactly how to stop him. Like,
which, that's not John Krasinski's fault. That's just bad writing.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad writing.
No, I don't blame him at all. But it's just, like, it's just really funny. Because that was a thing that we wanted to see, you know, John Krasinski.
And then they kind of killed it for everybody. And, like, after that, everyone started hating on it. I still think this. I think they put that in there just to test if people wanted it. But because the writing sucks for that character, it killed it, and now nobody wanted him anymore.
Yeah, but it wasn't like people hated John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. People just hated how he was written.
I guess they just got the wrong impression.
Because I think they got a lot of the wrong impression from a lot of things in phases 4 and 5. I just was confused on their thought process on some things. It was literally
just something to get us to point at the screen.
Yeah,
like And then when Black Bolt comes back from the Inhumans show, which they're never doing anything with Inhumans, so I don't understand what the point of putting Black Bolt is, because they haven't announced a new Inhumans.
That was
project.
the same actor from the show.
Yeah. They haven't announced a new Inhumans project, so I don't understand what the point of that. That was literally just for finger pointing. And then Patrick Stewart as Xavier was cool. It was cool when they played the X-Men cartoon theme, and he showed up in the chair. But it's like he dies in 2 seconds.
Yeah, and it wasn't. He was like that. That's just yeah. Of course, we didn't like it because the characters showed up and then they got killed.
Yeah. Because that's where the Sam Raimi thing comes in. Because Sam Raimi had to mix it with his horror movie that he was trying to tell.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one where they probably should have been I think Sam Raimi really wanted to go horror. Marvel really wanted multiverse craziness.
Yeah.
And so they tried to blend them together. It didn't work. And then Marvel kept kept being you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And it just really made a hodgepodge of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's some parts that feel like a horror movie, and there's some parts that feel like they have a distinct vision.
Yeah.
And then there's other parts that it doesn't mesh with that just seem it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So there was definitely some turmoil behind the scenes.
Definitely, but that's not the only one of these movies though that had turmoil behind the scenes. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which we talked about, did have a thing where they changed the ending.
Yeah.
Which that's not a huge one. I think that's really just the ending. Really, the only thing that changed was the ending. But that's something that happened 2 months before it came out to the public.
Yeah.
Or even it was one, but it was really close to the public that they apparently were doing reshoots to change the ending. So I guess they just got cold feet about the ending. I guess they didn't know if they wanted Kang to win in the end, which is cowards. But it's yeah. Well, although I still go with my theory that maybe they knew Kang wasn't going to be the villain they thought he was going to be, and they just did that just in case. But
yeah, which is it's weird because in some parts it felt like they were really in tune with what the fans wanted to see and what the direction they feel like would have been best for the fans. Mm-hmm. And then other parts it's like this is not what we wanted to see. How do you not know that this is not what we wanted to see?
Yeah, exactly.
How can you not sense that? Because the fans are vocal. And the fans are very open about criticism, and it is from a space of love. It's from an attitude of because we love this so much and we want it to be the best that it can be, right? Not like I hate it, it's so. And fans are very vocal about that. So sometimes it's how do you get the wrong impression from John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic
when you give him 5 minutes of screen time
and he gets killed? He gets turned into spaghetti. Obviously, we're not going
We go when he shows up.
Obviously, we're not going to cheer at that. Obviously, we're not going to like that. So then the idea they take from that is, let's not do him at all anymore because they don't like John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
I mean, I think Pedro Pascal is going to be really good. I just kind of wish that we could have gotten that John Krasinski casting, or maybe he didn't even want to commit to it. That could
be the other thing too.
That could be another thing. I know that's why Emily Blunt turned it down. Because I know she was openly saying that. I think they did have discussions with her. So I think it's believable that she turned it down also.
And I am actually very happy with Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal. So
yeah, I know.
Maybe it is for the best. Maybe this is the best. I don't know. Like the John Krasinski, Emily Blunt thing, it made sense.
Yeah, because a Quiet Place literally
But I am, now that I'm seeing, Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, I'm maybe this is the better option.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
So, they don't have to listen to fan casts. They really don't.
No, I know, and they know best. Their casting directors know better than us fans on the internet do.
Exactly.
When we should be going outside or touching grass.
Which again, no one would have fan cast Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Exactly.
And another one that was really reworked. I mean, Brave New World, because we touched on that a lot. But the Marvels was really reworked to death a lot. And I think what I heard was, it had a lot to do with the musical planet scene. I think I heard
that was added in.
No, I think they toned it down because I remember I heard that apparently it was a lot worse, but I think they changed it to kind of tone it down a little bit.
Pretty bad in the movie.
That's what I heard. At least I heard it was. And then I don't even know if Kelsey Grammer's Beast post-credit scene was even in the original version of the movie. I think that could have been added in.
Well, that seems like it has some purpose now, so I'm actually fine with that.
Yeah, because after the Doomsday chair list, which we'll make a separate episode about the Doomsday cast list, that's all of a sudden super important.
Yeah.
But it's still
the singing planet, bro. That was already the move as it stands in the movie. It goes on too long.
Well, what's funny is when they first started doing Marvel's reshoots, I heard it was because they thought Brie Larson was too skinny, but that could have just been bogus. But
that's probably bogus.
But then I started hearing that it was like there was a bunch of story stuff that wasn't working. They wanted to fix it. It still bombed, but like I think the main thing I heard was they wanted to tone down the singing planet a little bit, which valid.
I mean, the movie itself feels like unsalted butter. And I think the director has a very distinct style.
Yeah, the director even said that she didn't even really make that movie. She's like, that's Kevin Feige's movie.
Which you can say, because I think she has a distinct style, and I think people were kind of excited to see what her distinct style would have been, and you didn't feel it. It was just like...
Yeah, it's just fluff.
It wasn't like, there was nothing of substance in the Marvels.
That's true.
Which is not to say, like, that the dynamic between Monica, Carol, and Kamala wouldn't have been good. It shouldn't have been, like, I'm like, I don't like that or whatever. I don't think that's the thing. I think that could have been interesting, but I think there was just, like, it was like Nick Fury is in the escape pod.
He's just being with a big quip machine.
Nick Fury's being weird. And Nick Fury is like... we're gonna need it. Like, it's just like he's making quips and jokes, and it's
he's just a big quip machine now.
Yeah, and it's like this feels a little out of character.
After Secret Invasion, when he's just like super brooding and like
like it was
what was
like
the point? What was even the point of that?
It's like Nick Fury's acting a little out of character. Everything's so like it's just that like
the Marvel humor,
which I guess has become a thing now.
It's just a punching bag at this point.
But it is a thing. It is a thing.
Yeah,
where it's like we got to undercut tension with a joke. And, like, that movie was just kind of weird in general. Yeah. So, it's like, I mean, that's definitely, that was the studio, That wasn't a director. Because there's a big contrast between Thunderbolts. I think the moment in Thunderbolts where they're driving up to Avengers Tower and, like, they're in the back and, like, Yelena's like, what's that? And he's like, oh, this is my hat. You like it? Do you like my hat?
Yeah.
And she's like, do you? Like, that scene is funny. And it feels
it's funny.
Like,
yeah, it
feels
like
organic, and I really like that scene.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite moments from the movie. And it just felt like, organic. It didn't feel like it's one of those forced humor moments. It felt like, it was cool, and it was funny, and the humor in Thunderbolts, really fits the scenes. I think some people were saying there was some tone issues, but... In my opinion, I thought they transitioned between the jokes and the serious moments really well. Yeah. And I think that's something you don't sense in, like, the Marvels, where it's just, like, the jokes, every joke, like, erases the emotional depth.
Pretty much.
I don't think Thunderbolts had that. Thunderbolts, there was still a lot of emotional depth. Like, they still gave the emotional parts their time to shine, and the jokes weren't, like, degrading the emotional value of the movie.
Yeah.
There's still some tear-jerking moments, and it, like, really worked. So... I mean, that's studio interference, I feel like.
And then Brave New World was a huge example. They delayed it a full year just to cut out a villain and replace him with Giancarlo Esposito, which was a total waste.
Eesh, that was
bad. And then they changed the leader's design, which I questioned that. But the reason for that one was they changed it, one, to cut a villain out and put Giancarlo Esposito in, and they wanted to make the fight scenes better, which is that was what I heard was.
They were trying to make them better?
Yeah, which I'm like, what was the fight scenes before then?
What was it? This is the improved version?
Yeah, no, well, I think the Indian Ocean one was cool, but it's like...
Yeah,
but it's like, well,
it's not that. I don't think it's super cool, though.
No. Bro, if you're comparing it to like the fights from Winter Soldier and Civil War, then it's not better than those.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't know. It's the Indian Ocean part was probably the most interesting part of that movie to me
because it's like they actually addressed the floating celestial in the ocean.
Yeah, but it was also like these nations are on the verge of war.
Yeah, exactly.
And if this goes wrong, then it's like there's like some political aspect, and I think the scene in the boat between Falcon and Red Hulk was the strongest scene in the entire movie.
It was.
I think the performances from Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford were great, and Harrison Ford is just a great actor too. So that scene, that part was the most interesting part to me, but even then, it wasn't that interesting.
Yeah. And still, you could just have that feeling of like this is all just duct taped together with just reshoots.
That was my problem with the movie.
For me, I could feel it a little bit at the beginning, but I really felt it after the Indian Ocean fight. It just felt like we skipped scenes. Like in order to get from the Indian Ocean part to Ross turning into Red Hulk, it felt like we missed a bunch of points to get there.
Yeah, and it was like really quick too.
You could feel scenes were cut. Like that's the other thing with all these movies that we brought up that were micromanaged by the studio. They all feel like they were just spliced together with with duct tape.
Yeah,
like
it's
you
they
feel it.
They remove parts.
Some of them you can feel like there's scenes missing. It's like how do we get from here to here? How does this happen? Why isn't this plot line brought up? What happened to this person?
Yeah.
No, maybe not a person, but like just like what happened to this plot point? It's like a whole bunch of stuff that's just like what happened.
Which really soured Brave New World for me, and that's why I personally give it a thumbs down. Brave New World, just
I give
because,
it like a,
just because, I'd put it like that's me, but
I mean,
like
it's valid. No,
just because I
not saying it's a
definitely
perfect
like it
movie.
less than you did, just because like like the amount that I could feel that it was like so changed and like moved around really bothered me, like especially because I saw it twice, so like I was like the second time watching it I was like, oh my, like Giancarlo Esposito, I'm like.
He could have been like such a cooler character. You could have given him like Doctor Doom. You could have given him Magneto. You could have given him Professor X. You could have literally given him anybody, but you just gave him just this boring.
Yeah, like it was. Like, what was the thought process there? You know, like
maybe they offered him something different and he chose this, which
that's crazy. Like, his character is so
boring.
Yeah. Like,
and he talks about that he's like, I might come back. They left me and left. There's no way he's coming back. They literally
wants to see that guy.
I think they just threw him in there just like
maybe to generate some more interest in the movie.
I guess. And then,
but it's just like, even if I didn't, okay, because that's the thing. Because we have the privilege of so many leakers, right, who tell us
insiders.
This was the original plan and it was changed. So even like,
and again, these insiders might not have the best track. Some of these insiders don't have the best track record, but a lot of them do. So like we get,
yeah. But think about like if we didn't have the knowledge that this was not the original plan. You know, like if we went into Brave New World without any reports of reshoots and changing things, you know, and just watch the movie as is, I still think it doesn't work. And it's like it's confused. You go like, what?
It's
why?
Still, it's like a half-baked plot that they didn't stop to think about, which again was quantity over quality.
Yeah. But
now it's like if we want to like kind of bring this full circle, they've really started listening to everyone complaining about that.
Yeah.
And so now they've kind of gone through their big creative overhaul. They're like, oh shoot, we're really losing it. We need to like pull it back. So now it's like, I think Brave New World was kind of tried to get there, but it was just too late. That one was just too late. That one was doomed from the start because again, weak script, so it was doomed from the start, so they couldn't really be fixed. So if they really wanted to fix it, they would have to just tear the whole thing out, write a completely new story in order to fix that movie. But they couldn't do that because then the budget would have gone sky high. So they just had to, I guess they just kind of had to just get that one out and just take the L on that one. But Thunderbolts is like, that's the one you can really feel like that, like they put their effort in this one and they like let it come out, because like you hear Thunderbolts, you don't hear anything about reshoots or like changes. All the changes that happen were in the writing process, and that's how it should be. It's like they're taking their time to think like, should we do this? Should we not do this?
Yeah, because you hear stuff
instead of just throwing it all in a script, shooting it, then be like, oh crap, some of this stuff sucks, and then just cut it out with reshoots and try and duct tape it together. Which is literally what they did for some of these.
With Brave New World. The reason it's frustrating to me is because, you know, you see how there could be a better movie in here. That's why it's frustrating. It's not frustrating because it's like what I'm looking at sucks, which usually I think sometimes it does.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because it's like there could be something better in here.
It's even funnier because like none of this stuff none of this reshoots reports ever came out with the TV shows. It was all with the movies. So that's even funnier to me because I'm realizing this as we talk about, like none of that's ever happened with the shows. So I'm like, maybe y'all should have paid more attention to that. But still, like my point is, like I was trying to say earlier, is that they're starting to come around on that. Like Thunderbolts, I think was a winner.
100%.
And we'll see. I mean, Ironheart comes out next month, and we haven't gotten a trailer for that, so we'll see what happens with that one. We'll see what happens with Wonder Man, which that's still coming out, and then Fantastic Four. We've gotten 2 trailers. Both of them I think look fantastic, pun totally intended. And so I think that one, I'm really excited for that one. I think that looks good. We'll see with Doomsday, because again, I mean, I think after Thunderbolts I'm a lot more excited for it, because I'm like, again, it's like I'm excited to see, like, think about the character interactions, but. And it also lets me know, like, maybe there'll actually be a real story here rather than just being like, hey, look, it's Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, or hey, look, it's the original X-Men from the Fox movies 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I'm not excited to see that, specifically the X-Men, but it's like we need like a real plot in order for this to actually like work, instead of just being a bunch of key dangling. Like just what Doctor Strange 2 was.
Yeah.
And then, again, this came out yesterday. The director of Thunderbolts is in talks to direct their X-Men movie, which I'm like, let's go. That's going to be amazing. Then another huge win is that it's been confirmed that the next Tom Holland Spider-Man movie will not be a multiverse film. It will be a grounded, street-level story. And I'm just like, thank gosh. Because I would have lost my mind if it's another multiverse story.
That is a good.
So
move.
again, that's just all. This all goes to show that they're really listening to this and they're starting to realize, okay, we need to start putting more effort into our scripts before we shoot them, so that way we don't have to scramble to fix it in post.
Which proves to me that they can hear.
Yeah, like Kevin Feige has been listening to this. I know Kevin Feige has been listening to us since like day one of all these criticisms. And so now they put this thing in place where it's like Kevin Feige can focus on the movies and other Marvel executives will focus on the TV shows. And movie characters will no longer be appearing in the shows, so then people don't have to feel like they have to watch the shows to watch the movies.
Yeah, and it's like,
I mean, they say they'll still be in the same world, obviously, but it's just it won't be required viewing anymore. Which I think that's
which is
great
solution. Because the movies are the main story, the shows are like DLC.
Pretty much.
But the thing is, I mean, yeah, because
they can do what Thunderbolts did so well, just throw in like one little line of dialogue to catch everyone up in one sentence.
Yeah, and it's like with the movies, with the whole like quantity over quality thing. Where I am like, were they listening? Like when you're in the middle of it, some of this stuff, as it happened, it's like, why are we getting this? Like, why do they think we asked for this? And I think what happened is now they're coming out of the Disney thing. We know that Disney was pushing the shows.
Yeah.
And so it was like they were just like, I think Kevin Feige, I would be willing to say that
this stuff takes time to get implemented though. It doesn't happen like right away.
Exactly.
So it's like, I think this stuff took time, and now we're finally starting to see more quality. Because like they were saying this back in 2023, and we weren't really seeing it, other than X-Men '97, which I will fight for. We weren't really seeing that, but now it's like, okay, now we're starting to see some changes. So it's like, it just takes a while for it to get implemented.
Yeah, so I think Kevin Feige was fighting under that thing to be like, hey, this is not working, like pretty early on. And now, finally, Disney has come around to be like, okay.
They're coming off of that, yeah.
You can focus.
And who knows, maybe Doomsday will be a quality-made movie. But it's just, we'll have to just wait till next year to find out then. So, to see if it really might be.
I think it definitely will be.
I still have my worries, but at the same time, I'm just thinking about it, like, yeah, it's just going to be another team-up movie. So it's like, we haven't had one of those in a while.
I mean, it's easy money.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And, like, that budget is going to be sky high because you saw all those names that are on that cast list. And there's still more to come, which, again, we'll make a podcast episode about this. But, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with Doomsday. But I think, like, yeah, I mean, sure, this whole multiverse saga has been kind of a mess. Like, let's be real, it kind of has. But at least it's, like, they're starting to pull themselves back together for the end of it. And I think I'm starting to get, like, because if you look at Phase 6, all it is just Doomsday, Brand New Day. This is excluding the shows. All it is just Avengers Doomsday, Spider-Man Brand New Day, the next Tom Holland movie, and Avengers Secret Wars.
6?
Movies. And then it's Vision Quest, the show, Born Again Season 2, the Punisher special, and then I think that's it. So it's like, they're really slowing it down on their output, too. So I think my theory is they're just trying to get the multiverse saga over with so they can just get to the next one and just do it right from the beginning. Yeah. Because I think it's being led that the next saga they're going to do is X-Men. Because they've said this, too, that after Secret Wars, the X-Men will be the big focus of the MCU. And they've said they have a 10-year plan for the X-Men. So I think they're kind of like getting this locked in now so that we don't have to figure it out as they're going along next time, which is great. Again, they're learning. So I think they're just trying to wrap up the multiverse saga as quickly as they can because I think they know that they kind of messed up and dropped the ball.
So I think the biggest problem you can narrow it down to is studio interference.
Yeah, that's like out of all these ones that we brought up in terms of like inconsistent storylines and like
outside problems,
writing, outside problems, and not building up your own stars. It's just all comes down to studio interference.
Yeah, and I think there was just a lack of direction.
Yeah,
and the parent studio Disney was like, do this, and then they're like,
do this because the brand is great, and then they ended up ruining the brand.
Like it started. I think that's the problem. It started becoming more of a brand than a story. It was like the Marvel brand, and they had to build that up. The Disney Plus brand, and I think now they're sticking back to being a story.
Yeah, they're like telling good, well-written stories again.
Which, and not to say that this stuff has been bad. Like it's still Marvel. We'll still watch all of it.
Yeah, of
and
course.
And I still enjoy most of it. I enjoy most of the stuff we've gotten in this, especially Phase 5 has been great.
I enjoy the Daredevil episode of She-Hulk. I'll say that.
Yeah,
I didn't like that show at all because it didn't have a story, but I think I enjoyed that episode.
And I don't have a problem with experimentation. It's been a very experimental saga. And
it's just some of those experiments are questionable.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that stuff didn't work, for me personally.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, or in our opinion, stuff didn't work. You know.
Yeah.
And I think there's.
And I don't think we're
wrong
alone
saying
in this either. I think other people will agree that.
And I think
that
that's
didn't work.
Marvel should be okay with that because they were experimenting so much. You know
Yeah.
that not all of this stuff has worked for everybody, and that's totally okay. Like She-Hulk has its fans, right?
Yeah, it does.
We're not.
No,
we're not
definitely
fans, but it does have its.
It
fans.
does have its fan. Everything that we think is bad does have its fan. Like Miss Marvel
there's
has
things
its
that
fan.
we think are
Moon
good.
Knight has a bunch of cult defenders for it, but
And there's stuff that we think is great that maybe some other people don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's totally fine. We got a lot more in this saga, and
like, some people might not like
gonna work.
Thunderbolts, and that's okay. Because like at
To
the end of the
people who
day,
don't.
it's all just subjective. Like that's really all it is.
So I think it's good that they experimented. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I just think there should have been more focus and more, like, in some cases, more freedom to the people making it. In other cases, not as much. You know, yeah. So I enjoy it. I love Marvel. I will always love Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm always
It's
gonna.
just-
So I'm excited.
Of this saga.
It's looks the future's bright. I think.
Yeah.
After Thunderbolts, like, you know, people keep saying the Marvel is back thing. I don't think it like goes away.
No, it really hasn't.
And
There's
it was
still
back
interest.
back from what? Like,
The chair live stream, if anything, proved that there's still interest.
yeah, people watch a 5-hour live stream of
Exactly.
chairs.
It's not dead. It's not going anywhere. People
No.
are still interested.
So I think the future is bright.
Yeah.
But that's what we. This is just our thoughts on what we think went wrong with the thing.
Yeah.
So there you have it. There's what we think went wrong with the MCU post Endgame.
Let us know what you think about it in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know. I'm interested to see what y'all say.
Why do you think Marvel sucks these days?
Exactly.
Yeah. So there you have it. There's our episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.